Okay. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Carlos, can you say something?
Yep. How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, good. Okay, welcome everybody to CanHammer, your source for 40K from the Great White North. I think it was Chris who made up that phrase, and it's kind of stuck as our catchphrase in a way. There's lots of other sources of 40K from the Great White North now. Welcome everybody to this episode of CanHammer TV and a special episode of Custodes Tactica. We have tonight special guest from Los Angeles, Carlos Kaiser. Say hello, Carlos.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Thank you very much for joining us. Carlos is a keen Custodes player and was really kind of lurking in the Custodes collective chat there until one day I just saw your name, and then I was like, Kaiser. Oh, that's Carlos. And then everybody was like, oh, Carlos is in the chat. Because after Socal, people were like, oh, we should get Carlos on. And I'm like, okay, I don't know him on Facebook, so I'm like trying to find him. And then I've never met you, so I don't know what you look like. And then all of a sudden, you kind of appeared in the chat.
Yeah, I don't usually participate a lot on the chats or podcasts, but I'm friends with Nick, so I've been part of the Nice Pro group for a while, and ended up joining the chat, just lurking. Usually don't contribute. And it was I think I was watching one of your games, and I think you missed something. I said, oh, let me reach out to him, and that's how I got to communicate with the rest of you guys in the chat.
Awesome. Well, as you know, we've been trying to build this little collection of Custodes players. There are not a lot of us, and there's maybe just 10,000 of us, I think the fluff would say, but not even that many. And trying to form a little community, a resource online for Custodes, and so it's awesome to have you in there. So we're going to skip all the usual Tactica stuff. This is a special episode where we're going to talk with Carlos about his approach to Custodes and his trip to Socal recently, and we can talk about matchups, and people have been submitting questions, and so we'll go through that as well. This is an episode for the soup players out there. People are always asking me, if you have Custodes army, what would you soup it with? And most of the Tactica has really been about Custodes as a pure faction. So Here we go. There's a bone thrown out to the supers. And hopefully people will find this helpful. It's not that I don't like souping. It's just that the purpose of the Tactica was to see if we can play pure as competitively as possible. But obviously being able to soup is nice too. And we'll get your thoughts on this, but my thoughts is always that adding Custodes to another army is probably not that great, but I think adding what Custodes lacks to a Custodes army can be pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And this is a hobby, right? So at the end of the day, you need to decide what you want to accomplish. If you want to paint a beautiful army and play pure Custodes and be competitive, but not expecting to win a GT, I think that's perfectly fine. But if you really want to go 4-2 at minimum, 5-1, 6-0 at a GT, at this point in the game, I think you need to soup for Custodes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think any of us are going to try and go win LVO with a pure Custodes army.
Yeah.
Especially after the Caladius nerf.
Yeah.
Literally a week before the Space Marine Codex came out.
That hurt, especially because of the type of nerf that it was. Yeah. Had the tanks gone up in points, I was okay with that. It's like, look, I'll pay 260 per tank. That's fine. But that strength reduction was really, really tough because it took away our main tool to deal with tanks.
And at the time, we didn't even know. We're like, okay, it might be okay. And then boom, Space Marines came out, and it was like, oh.
The Repulsor is fantastic. That's so great.
It's like, come on, guys. You knew this was coming out, and you still did this.
That hurt a lot. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to start with is just to tell people how you got into Custodes.
Sure. So I've been playing 40K since I was 14. I play a ton of armies: Chaos, Imperium, Imperial Guard, Ultramarines, pretty much everything. And when Custodes came out, I really liked them, and ended up winning a tournament maybe 2, 3, 4 months after they came out. So I had about $200 of price support to spend. So I decided to buy an army of Custodes, which basically with $200 you can buy like 80% of the army.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into it. I got one of my friends to paint the entire army. I don't know if you know him. I'm sure you all guys know him. Salty John.
Oh, Salty John. Yeah.
That's part of my club. So he painted the army beautifully. So since, I guess, 18 months ago, I've been exclusively playing Custodes with a little bit of Imperium allied soup, as you call it.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's one thing to like models, and I like a lot of models that I don't play.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the army is satisfying to play? One part of satisfaction is, yeah, this army looks awesome on the table, but the other is like actually like you feel like you're not just getting crushed all the time. You feel like it's living up to its billing.
Yeah, no, I think Custodes is one of the best armies out there. It took a huge nerf with the Custodes dropping in strength. That is still really good. And the part that I enjoy the most is how underappreciated it is.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, it's like, really? Custodes? It's like, yeah, it's not that bad. Like literally, Pablo, PD Pub, Frankie, they all approach me and say, really, this is your list? Like, do you think this is going to be able to compete? And it's like, this is a 5-1 list. If I do really poorly, it should be a 4-2. If I do well, it should be a 6-0. It should be a 5-1 if I perform average.
Yeah.
So they did not believe me. They actually laughed at me. So
yeah, I actually joke with people that there's a rule in our codex that states that your opponent will underestimate you.
Yeah. Well, people know about the Vexilla, right? Like that's our most common trick, that and Tanglefoot. And people think, okay, fine, you're gonna deep strike within 3 of me, but your Vexilla moves 6. It's like, well, yeah, it moves 6, but it also advances, and then it's within 6 inches. So you also gain the base of your model. It's a 30-inch range.
Yeah.
So people I don't think they realize how far you can go with the Vexilla, and they always get surprised. They say, "Yeah, I told you, it works."
I've been trying to point that out to people during the games. I'll be like, "Yo, it's turn 3. Look where the Vexilla is. It's in the opponent's deployment zone." So
exactly.
Even our own players are like, "How can you pull that off all the time?" Because A, it's on foot, and B, people know about it. I'm like, it doesn't seem to matter. Like, you just get it off. The only thing that stops it is a Vect.
And if I'm facing Drukari, I usually don't even try. So okay.
I just deploy on the
exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it's we're still super underestimated, and the Custodes had its day, but for now that seemed to have disappeared, and now the Marines of course. But the Custodes is still good. It's not, crazy like it was before, but it still gives us things that we just don't have in the army. And that's super underestimated now. Like, it was enemy number 1 before, people shoot at it instantly. Now it's like, oh, it's just a nerf Custodes, and it still does some work.
And to be fair, even if the Custodes hadn't been nerfed, I don't think Custodes can truly play it the way they did before. Nobody can face Marines and compete with the level of killiness. You have to adjust. Like right now, there are 2 types of lists: Marine list or denial list.
Yeah.
If you try to compete against Marines, you're going to lose unless you're Marines as well.
Yeah.
So the Custodes, I think, either way, wouldn't have made it. So.
Yeah. I think people have to realize pretty early on that the Custodes, to succeed, really has to deny.
Yeah.
Like, you'll win a game if you deny a kill for 3 to 4 turns of the game. You'll win just because you kill something and they don't. And that's really just how you have to play it. You can't take the 18 bikes and just rush at people anymore. It's just going to die.
You're going to win 3 games. You might win 2 games, but that you're not going to do well in a tournament because it just doesn't kill that much. 6 bikes won't kill a squad of 5 Primaries Marines in cover.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
It sucks, yeah. Okay, so what we're going to go on to then is how you came up with your list at Socal. Okay. So why don't you tell people what you ran and why you, specifically, I mean, the souping part of it, because the rest of it is, I guess, fairly quote-unquote standard, but like, how did you come up with that?
Yeah, so the idea, again, was I can either play Marines or a denial list. I'm about to have a baby, so I cannot start a new army. And I've been playing Custodes for 18 months. It's a perfect. I'll run Custodes. I know I'm going to have good terrain at Socal, meaning either great line of sight blocking or ideally magic boxes. So if I can hide on the boxes or deep strike my models, I'm going to deny the kill. So I need to ensure that I can kill something because of the denial, because of the cover, because of the line of sight blocking terrain. I need indirect fire. So that gives me two options. I can either soup with guard or I can soup with marines. So I was debating between the two. And then what swayed me towards marines was thermal shells.
Yep.
You reduce the movement of an opponent for 1 command point by half. That in combination with tangle fruit grenades means that I can get into combat. Before I get to combat, I shoot you. I reduce your movement. I attack a unit, consolidate into another one, the one that I shot with the tremor shells. And when you try to leave combat, I tangle fruit you. And now, if I roll a 2, you cannot leave combat. So essentially, I'm stuck. I get to attack in your turn and move again, consolidate, basically gaining an entire turn of movement and preventing you from shooting me. So with that in mind, okay, fine. I need thunderfire cannons. How many points can I spend? And what are my concerns when I run in thunderfire cannons? The concerns were I need to be aware of other artillery. How does artillery do? Hey, Darren, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're just breaking up a little.
Oh, okay. Better now?
Yeah, I think it's stabilized a little bit now.
Okay. Do you want me to start over or?
No, you can keep going. So you were just saying that you're obviously picking thunderfire cannons because they got the indirect fire. They're disgustingly good for 90 something points, and you get 3 freaking tech marines with it.
Exactly, and not only that, mathematically, 3 thunderfire cannons don't kill 1 thunderfire cannon of the opponents. Meaning, if I was to face another marine army, and I have line of sight, line blocking terrain, they cannot kill my thunderfire cannon. So I'm not giving up the kill. And that's how those 3 came about. My biggest issue was determining whether to use white scars so that I could use the warlord and keep people in combat, the something smears, or Imperial Fist. I really like white scars because that basically, the other strategy I had in mind was I can get my warlord in combat with a flying bike, if it was to be white scars, and I can buy the relic for the Vexilla that allows you to be redeployed at the end of your opponent's charge phase.
Praetorian plate,
Yep. So the idea was I get in combat, I teleport my Vexilla, so that way I'm protected from eliminators, and the following turn I deep strike either Terminators or bikes. Or I take Imperial Fists, they ignore cover, so I don't suffer as much from not having doctrines.
Yeah.
So I talked to Nick for like half an hour. So I do, what do I do? And he was like, forget about white scars. That sounds great on paper. It's gonna work one time in the entire tournament, and it's gonna be against that guy that you're gonna beat regardless. Yeah. So just take Imperial Fist and focus on thermal shells and getting the kill more every turn.
So did you have enough CP to like do that continuously through a game? Like I'm always telling people you don't actually need hardly any CP to play Custodes. I'm playing 4 CP all the time. People are like, oh my god, I can only play with 4 CP. I usually have 1 left at the end of the game. So you must have just spent most of your CP on like tremor and double shooting and stuff.
Yeah, I would say half of my command points on that. I also use command points on deep striking the bikes and usually a unit of Custodes of 3 guys.
Yeah.
And then rerolls. My opponents don't understand it, but I oftentimes reroll a save on my bikes or Terminators. It's 90 points. I cannot just let you kill it with a lucky shot. So I usually reroll that. And with Trajan, you gain some back. So in reality, my list had almost 11 command points every game.
Yeah.
Which is plenty.
Yeah, that's what people forget. Like, I love it when I get my 3 CP back from a homer.
Yeah.
And then, I just basically almost doubled my CP.
Yes. So that's how the list came about. Is okay, I know I'm going to have good terrain. I need to figure out a way of killing more than my opponent. My opponent's not going to kill my thunderfire cannons if they are out of line of sight. And they are not going to kill my Custodes in cover. And if I'm playing Chaos, I can double shoot the thunderfire cannon with tremor shells. For 3 command points, 2 of your units are not going to move, or going to move very little. And if I get into a grinding match, I can stay in combat and prevent you from shooting me the next turn. So that was how the list came about. And I felt pretty good about it. I really felt like I was going to have no problem with my first 3 games. The second day, it will be rougher, especially once you face White Scars. Because Custodes and White Scars is just absolutely ridiculous. It is so frustrating. Like, you get into combat and 3-4 of the characters have damage 4. It's like, you cannot do anything.
No,
because
it's horrible.
Let's say that you play flawlessly and you get the jump on all the characters. Even if you do that, when they die, they get to attack you. So the only way you can avoid is if you shoot them to death, which is not going to happen if you're facing a good opponent. Which is what happened on my 6th game. Like, it's just, in my mind, the issue with Marines for me is not all the great units or stratagems, is the characters. Characters that can attack 8 times and then attack again when they die with damage 4, hitting on 3s, rolling 1s. It's just like, I can't, Custodes cannot deal with that.
I don't think anybody can deal with that.
Well, fair enough.
If you have a 3-up invuln, you might survive, right? If you roll well.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's just crazy. Like, did you see the game where the chapter master hit me 27 times?
Yeah, I saw that with the
That
Teeth
was
of Terra.
stupid. At minus two damage, too.
It is crazy. And to me, that's my biggest issue right now. So as I'm thinking about how to improve the list, I think 3 squads of eliminators is a must for Custodes. Like, it's just game breaking. It's going to prevent you from winning. I was going to Socal with the idea of going 5-1, but with the intention of winning the whole thing. And when I played John Lennon, it was just clear, like, there's no way I can do that. Because if he is screening his characters properly, I just won't be able to make it better. And even if I make it, when he dies, this character is going to take down with him like 3 or 4 of my bikes or Terminators.
Okay, well, we're definitely going to circle back to what you would do with your list
Sure.
now. Do you want to talk about any? I know people want to know about your Marine games for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you played like a triple disco, like, crazy dreadnought chaos army. And I know you played like a guard army, which guard is usually fairly easy for us, especially if you got bikers. So you want to pick out like some of your more difficult games, or especially the Marine games.
Yeah, I'll give you like a 2-minute break of each game of the easy ones.
Sure.
And then I spend more time on the Marine matchups. The first one I played against a really good player from local Arizona. He was playing 2 big squads of Plague Bearers and a lot of Psychers. Basically a denial list as well. That's when I got to use my Tremor Shells and keep the Plague Bearers from leaving combat. So that was fun, but not a complex game. We all have faced chaos and we do fairly well if you screen properly and you hide. The trick of this list is to pick the right secondaries.
Yeah.
So every time I play, the first ones that come to mind are Engineers, King of the Hill, which people don't know about and they don't think about, but it's amazing. If you have 2 multi-wound units within, I think, 6 inches of the center, you get a point every turn.
So what do you usually get that secondary with?
2 units of guard.
2 guardian units.
2 guardian units, or depending on who I'm facing, 1 of units of the Terminators. So the 4 Terminators will deploy on the table, and then I have a unit of guard. So those will be the 2 that I would use.
Is that kind of assuming that there's like a magic box in the middle or something?
Yeah, or even just line of sight blocking. If it's a good line of sight blocking piece, and I can hide behind it, just come to me. Because if you come towards me, even to get some line of sight, then my Vexilla can move, advance, and drop the bikes. So you have to be very careful, because if you do that, I'm going to wrap you. My Terminators might get lucky and get a good charge, and then I'm going to Tremor Shell whatever they charge. So they're going to get stuck in combat. And all of a sudden, my heavy hitters are in your face.
Yeah.
So that was my first game. And the problem with this list, I love it, but it requires every single moment of your attention.
Yeah.
It's exhausting to play.
You can't make a mistake, or you lose like 200 points.
Every game I had to play. So if I had an hour and a half, I had 15 minutes left on my clock, so not that much. And I always felt like I just want to take a nap. I need a break. The first one was fine. The second game, my opponent was not as seasoned when it came to tournament playing, but his list was brutal. It was 4 Lemon Russes and a Band Blade.
Oh.
Yeah, and he got to choose whether to go first or not, and there were no magic boxes. He made a few mistakes, and one of my favorite relics that nobody uses is the Lament of Sorrows. So when you die, you get to shoot or attack in close combat with one attack. Mm-hmm. With the bikes against guard, that is brutal. Because if you get them close enough, now you're killing Imperial Guard when you die in your opponent's turn, and they don't expect it. Or when you explain it to them, they get freaked out, so they move away from you.
Yeah.
And he got really nervous about that, so he stayed really far away from my bikes, which was great because then I trapped his Bane Blade and won me the game. And my third game was against the guy that you described, the one with the 3 Disco Lords. He was really good. That was an insanely difficult game.
Yeah, I was looking at the list like, that's a tough game.
Yes. So basically it came down to my bikes jumping from building to building. And there were not that many magic boxes, but there were second level ruins and buildings with 3 levels. So my bikes stayed at the top so that he couldn't charge me with the lords. I knew that they would die, so I was waiting for a good trade, which I ended up getting. And then I deep stroke a unit of the Terminators and a unit of 3 guards. Dropped it in a box, charged the Plague Bearers, and I stayed the entire game. Everything else in his list was not infantry, so he couldn't get me. But I screwed up on my secondaries, so I went for Big Game Hunter, Kingslayer, and the kill characters, which was horrible because it meant that I had to attack him.
Yeah.
So I ended up trading my bikes for a character, Ariman, I think it was, and his Kingslayer, so his Warlord. And then I hit the entire game. I didn't do much. It was super technical because he was a really good player. The only issue that he had, I think he was very respectful of my bikes. He was very afraid of them.
Yeah.
So his Disco Lords, instead of bullying me, kept making a bubble to protect his Dreadnoughts, who literally did not shoot the entire game. I didn't give him any targets with them. He only shot the indirect fire. So that was a close game. He made a few tiny mistakes, but Custodes are very unforgiving to the controlling player, but they are also very punishing to your opponent.
Yeah.
So he paid a hefty price.
Yeah, I think like Disco Lords just got to go forward and hit stuff and die. I mean, that's how you use those things.
Exactly. One thing that I like to do, and this comes from Nova, I like to pick secondaries that is going to force my opponent to think about their strategy.
Yeah.
So oftentimes I pick the Headhunter just to force you to think about whether you want to throw your stuff at me or not.
Yeah.
And that was his concern. So if I throw my Disco Lords, he's going to get Kingslayer, and he's going to get Big Game Hunter. Not Big Game Hunter, the one about vehicles. I think it's Big Game Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like doing that for to try and deter Smash Captains, war bosses. And then those, unless the player is really, really with it, they're just going to be like, oh, fuck it. That's why you paid for that thing, right? Like,
And that's what the Lament of Sorrows is such an amazing strategy, an amazing relic. Because when you kill me on a 4+, I get to attack you. So if you throw your Smash Captain against my bikes and you kill 3 of them, 2 of them, on average, will get to attack you. Chances are that the 1 wound or 2 wounds left that you have, I'm going to be able to take them away with Attack on Death. So I've been using that one a lot, and I like it, especially because it freaks out my opponents.
You usually put that on the Vexilla?
No, because I don't want to overload. I don't want to draw attention to the Vexilla. I usually put it on the guy on foot.
Okay. Yeah, because you just have like one plain captain dude, right?
Yes, exactly. So he's usually the one that gets that. The Vexilla usually gets, depending on the matchup, the 3++, the 3+ feel no pain, or he gets the Heroic Intervention. The 12-inch Heroic Intervention is really good.
Yeah, I just got to use that last game. It's nice.
It's
Although
fantastic.
I don't read properly. I thought it was only 6 inches. It's actually 12 inches, which is crazy.
Yes. Yeah, and people screw it up all the time. You explain it, and it doesn't matter because they don't realize it's by unit.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
Yeah.
So that was my third game. I'm feeling really good. So okay, 3-0. Go to the Chu, and then the parents come up, and I'm facing top at first game of the day. 3 executioners, iron hands.
You knew it was going to happen.
Yes, I mean I knew it was going to happen. 3 thunderfire cannons, 2 land speeders, and 3 flyers. 3 or 2 flyers. 2 flyers. The ones with the storm talons.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna beat this. So I'm thinking. By the way, my first game or the second day is always my favorite because you get to think about it. That's how I enjoy this game. Just imagining the game and trying to figure out how I'm gonna beat it. So.
Oh, and he also had a Sky Shield landing pad.
Yes, which against me was just a waste of points.
Yeah.
He was just. To me, it was when I was looking at the matchup, a top player is not bringing that list because that list is click and shoot, and it doesn't have any responses to a good player bringing deep strike, white scars with a +5-inch charge. So I knew he was going to be an okay player with a very powerful list, so that I could outplay him, and I had to rely on outplaying him because I cannot shoot him. Like we were sharing our list. I said, well, so what do you have that can kill my repulsors? Like absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Like I can charge you, and I had a -2 charge, but that's about it.
I don't think our army at all has anything that can reliably kill 3 repulsors.
Nothing.
No.
But the problem is, what secondaries do you choose? So he was looking at my army. He's like, okay, I'm gonna do Mark for Death. It's like perfect. I already did an IU3. He did engineers, and he made his land speeders engineers. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I can actually, and the mission that we're playing, only one of the objectives, the one in the middle, had cover around. So this is perfect. If he puts the land speeders, I'll sacrifice the bikes and the terminators, kill them, and I then add another 4 points. And then the other one that it was ground control, which for those of you that go to tournaments, you do not want to pick ground control if you have a list that wants to go first.
It's kind of weird that he would pick Mark for Death instead of taking like Gangbusters or something.
People don't know how Gangbusters works.
Everybody picks Gang against me. It's an auto 4 points.
Right. Exactly. If you kill anything, you're gonna get that.
Yeah, I don't understand why people wouldn't pick that. It's auto pick.
Yep. So we started the game. Amazing guy, by the way. All my systems were amazing. So not talking trash about him. It was just that he wasn't. For day 2, usually in round 4, you start facing the really good opponents, and you could tell that he was good, but it was his list that was carrying his score. He got to go first. He chose to go first, which was perfect. But I got to choose deployment, and I got to deploy the deployment. We have the one, which is 9 inches from the center, I think.
Table quarters.
Yes. So I got to go into magic box that was in the middle of the board, and I chose ground control, engineers, and King of the Hill. So I deployed my Terminators in there. I deployed 2 units of 3 guys, and I deep strike a unit of 3 guys, and the bikes. The entire game, I kill like 400 points. But I don't need to kill. I need to kill 1 small unit to get kill more, and that's about it. So he goes first. He shoots with everything on my Thunderfire cannons, and he actually kills 1 of them. I roll really poorly, and he kills 1 of them. So I'm like, this sucks. Now he's killed 1. I need to figure something out. But he makes a really big mistake. He moves to the center, one of his land speeders, which is an engineer, to contest the one in the center, because he's concerned that I have everything in the middle of the board, and there's a big chunk of terrain that blocks him from seeing me. And he's very, very protective of his freaking repulsors. He puts them on the land pad thing.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot shoot you, buddy. Like, I don't know. Should have put it there. So he moves land speeder there, and in my mind, it's like, okay, if I kill this land speeder and the other one, I already won the game. Because then I deny engineers. He's not going to get my mark for deaths. And I get bottom of the turn, so I'm going to get ground control. So he kills the land speeder. He gives the Thunderfire cannon. I shoot 2 Thunderfire cannons, one of them shooting twice, into the one that is very far away, engineering his home objective. And then my captain, the one on foot, goes on a suicide mission to kill the land speeder, the other one that is in the middle of the board. I kill the one he's shooting, and the one in the middle of the board. There's a strategy that people forget about, people that play Custodes, that allows you to get a +1 to wound with spears. Yep. So now, all of a sudden, I'm wounding this land speeder toughness 5 on choose. So I killed that as well, and that literally won me the game. From that point on, I didn't do anything, I just hit. Next turn, his flyers came in, killed my other thunderfire cannon. My bikes came in, because I needed to kill stuff just to maintain that advantage.
Yeah.
I killed the flyer, one of the flyers by shooting, the other one I charged and destroyed. And that's it. That was the game. I think that's all I kill. I kill both flyers, both land speeders, and then on my last turn, I think I kill like half a repulsor, just for fun.
Yeah, like he probably should have just played his repulsors quite aggressively. I mean, you're not touching those guys.
It didn't really matter because I have enough terrain and deep striking units that I was not gonna let him shoot me. What I told him at the end is like, look, if you make those repulsors your engineer units, that's it. I cannot. One of them is an engineer. You're gonna get 4 points. If you go gunbusters, nothing I can do about it. I can deny as much as I can, but you're gonna kill the bikes.
Can you make those guys engineers? I thought it has to be more than one model in the unit to be an engineer.
No, I get always confused Nova and
I'm pretty sure you can't make a single model an engineer.
I think that's for Nova. I think for ITC you might be able to do it. I think you can make it. It cannot be a character, but other than a character, it can be anybody. And I think Nova is the opposite. A character can be an engineer, but you can target the character if he becomes an engineer. But I'll double check that. Okay. So that was my game against him. He was good. He was a very decent player with a very strong list. He brought the landing pad to face other Marines. But the thing with Custodes, if you're playing denial list, you do not need to table your opponent. You just need to play smart, pick the right secondaries, and be extremely freaking patient.
Yeah, you cannot be aggressive these days.
If you're aggressive, it has to be because he has made a mistake and you're going to punish him.
Yeah.
So when I explained to him how the Vexilla work, he's like, okay, so if I move within like 15 inches, which is what I need to be to get that objective in the middle and prevent you from holding more, you can charge me with your pikes. He's like, yes. Can you walk me through what your pikes do? He's like, well, I hit you and choose, roll once if I have a captain, which I do, and then I roll once if Trajan is around, and I roll everything in my turn, in the turn that I charge. So, that's a dead repulsor. He's like, I hope so. So then he stayed back. He's like, trade for him, trading one repulsor for my bikes or my terminators should have been able to trade. And he was just afraid of doing that because he was so attached to the model, thinking it's so good, that he was just not willing to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And you're right. So it is just non-character, non-fortification. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think a lot of people are under the impression that it has to be like an infantry unit.
Yeah, which is weird to me because I don't think, even in Nova, I don't think that's the case. It can be basically anything.
Yeah.
So that was the game against him, which, by the way, we had like tons of people coming over and watching the game. It was quite funny because I think he got nervous about that because that was the beauty about playing Custodes and people underappreciating you is that if you lose, there is no pain. Okay, it's what it is. But if you win against two repulsors, all of a sudden you're a hero. So
yeah, you are a hero.
Which is like, okay, well, yeah, and then you explain to them how much you have killed, and you're like, well, did you play that game? Like, what were you doing? It's like, just hiding, praying to the Emperor. So that was a good game. I felt really good. It's like, okay, fine. I already won 4 games. From now on, it doesn't really matter. Like 4-2, I'm happy with. So the next game was against a guy from Grand LSD, which is the tournament team that Brandon Grant plays with. So those guys are really good. Just because when you have a good player and you're playing against him on a regular basis, everybody gets so much better. And he was playing White Scars. I think he was on the stream at some point. I think first round or second round. Okay. And his list was brutal. He had like 3 characters that had damage 4. He had a squad of Centurions that also had damage. Like his entire army was damage 4. And then to top everything, he had Eliminators, and he had the Eliminators and a Librarian, which had the power to deny my invulnerable saves.
Yeah, so he's got 2 librarians, infiltrators, a bunch of scouts, chaplain, lieutenant, 3 smash captains,
Yeah.
a bunch of intercessors, a thunderfire, and the big unit of centurions, and then 3 eliminators. It still seems like you can get too much.
It's brutal. It's like how looking at the game, I'm like, I don't even know how I'm gonna deal with this. I cannot come close because those characters are going to table me. I cannot stay away because those eliminators are going to kill my thunderfire cannons, my characters, and my Vexilla. So I was not feeling good about this game at all. But then he chose the wrong secondaries again. Like as soon as you have your opponent choose the secondaries, you can tell how the game is going to go. So I don't remember exactly what he chose, but we were discussing it afterwards. I think he chose ground control, Kingslayer on my Vexilla, which only gave him 3, and Gunbusters. He knew about Gunbusters.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, so Gunbusters, he's gonna get that. Nothing I can do about it. He gets 4. If I get Engineers, I'm gonna get my 4. So we're tied there. I'm doing ground control, and this was the mission, I believe, that was you go first. No, it wasn't. But I wanted to go first. So my thought process was, if I choose ground control, I'm forcing him to make me go first. And if I go first, I'm going to take down those eliminators. Because this game is going to come down to, can I kill his eliminators with my thunderfire cannons? And if I can, I just need to stay away, like in my corner, and stay there until the end of the game. So I chose that on Headhunter, thinking if you throw your characters at me, at least I'm gonna get points.
Yeah.
He chose to go first because he realized that the thunderfire cannons were going to win me the game. Kill one of them, but that was about it. And from that point, I spent all my command points on shooting twice, and picked his eliminators. I stayed super far away from him, and he started getting nervous. So in his mind was, I was killing more every turn, and I was holding more, and I had ground control. So he started pushing and forcing the play, and that cost him the game. Because the moment he pushed, the bikes were on the top of the building, so he couldn't get to me with the bike captain, and he was too far away from the guys with the jam packs. So basically, it ended up being a big difference between in points. I deep strike as much as I could. I deep stroke next to his thunderfire cannon and into magic boxes. So kill the scouts that were in there, kill more, hold more, and I got all my secondaries. So I think his mistake was not being aggressive enough.
Yeah.
My list with the 3 thunderfire cannons doesn't need to go to you. I can stay where I am, get kill more, hold more, and then wait until the end of the game to get my points.
Yeah, I mean, like you're buying 3 smash captains, like
Yeah.
you got to use them. And there's that thing about picking the headhunter secondary, right?
Right.
And so did you score any headhunter in that game?
All of them.
Okay.
Because what I did was, so he ended up suiciding one of his slap captains to kill my Vexilla, which really hurt. But then when my models died, they get to attack, because that was I took the Lament of Sorrows. So I kill his smash captain like that, and then my bikes, the way I did it is I bait him into going against my Vexilla. So my bikes were slightly behind it. And the thing about White Sky is to get all those movement benefits, you have to be very close to each other.
Yeah.
So then my bikes jump, shoot a bunch of characters, charge another unit, just do a slingshot and get into the characters. So the bikes were annihilated. Like they did what they did and then they died, but they killed 3 characters themselves. And the Vexilla and a squad of 3 engineers killed the other character when they died. So it was perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people just, if they're playing a list similar to yours or mine, they just have to accept that the bikes are going to die, but they need to take stuff with them when they go.
Yes.
They're going to die. They're always if I lose units, other than getting tabled, if I don't lose a lot of units, they're the unit I lose almost always.
Yeah. And the thing about bikes is the threat range. Our main issue with Custodes is the threat range. You have no projection to go tag your opponent, and the bikes are amazing for that.
Yeah, Venatari are not the solution.
No. I saw you try, and I was like, poor bastard.
Oh, dude, they made me do it. No, I can't say, like I always tell my daughter, you can't say you don't like something until you tried it. So I tried it, and the result was predictable.
Yeah. So that was my 5th game. So at this point, I'm feeling really good. It's like 5-1. This is what I predicted. I'm feeling really good. So then I'm facing another White Scar guy. John Lennon. And this was total bullshit.
And John won the tournament, in case people don't know.
Yes. But the problem was, and John was
he didn't win the tournament. He went 6-0.
Yeah. I think he didn't win because there was an issue with the scoring on the first game. I think he was supposed to win it, but that's drama for other people to deal with.
Yeah.
The problem was, we were playing mission 6, so if you win the die to choose to deploy first, I think it is, right?
Yeah,
the opponent goes first.
Yeah.
Okay, so he wins that die, and he chooses deployment zone. I win that. No. How was that one? He ended up choosing to make me go first. So I'm like, okay, well, fine. If he makes me go first, his white scars, that means that his 2 squads of Centurions have to come in within 6 inches of the borders. My army is fast enough that by turn 2, if I am going first, I can move everything to the center and I start trading blows. So I'm feeling really good. So if I do that, I don't need the bikes to deep strike. I want the bikes to come in, to start on the table. We were playing the one with, it's like the little house in the middle. It's just like an 18-inch separation between the ports.
Yeah.
Like, I can push my bikes, and if he makes a mistake on deployment, I can either kill the Centurions or a bunch of characters. So I deploy the bikes on the board. There's a magic box to my left next to an objective. And I know that's where the game is going to be played. My other flank had nothing. I knew that I had to focus on the left. So I was planning on distracting the Terminators, killing with the bikes a unit of Centurions, deploying the Vexilla into very close to that magic box, move into the box, protect it with Trajan and a unit of guard, and then distract Terminators and kill the other unit of Centurions. Tango through grenade, tremor shells, he won't be able to touch me. And then I do this, I'm feeling really good about myself. I am deploying really far away with my character, so he cannot touch me with his eliminators unless he deploys where I can see him.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is fantastic. This is going to be great. And then he comes and says, I'm going to try to steal the initiative. I'm like, I don't think you can, but let's ask the judges.
You can.
And you cannot, but the judges said you could. And guess what happened? He rolled a 6. He stole the initiative. His eliminators took like four wounds out of my Vexilla, which cost me the game. Because from that point on, he was just like not doing anything. He picked one of my bikes. He fixed his deployment slightly for what he needed to do. I didn't get to tremor shell him, so he got to move and get in position. And that was basically the game. I was able to come back, do some plays. The bikes were great. I killed a unit of the Centurions, but that was basically the game. The moment that he was able to steal the initiative and to get in position, protect his models, pick my Vexilla, that was the game.
So he won that role and made you go first.
Yes. So I deployed first.
And so I thought he was allowed to see, so I have to read it again.
There was a ton of people bringing, but apparently they changed that package. So there were 2 versions of the package. The one that we had was the old package, so we couldn't find where you couldn't do it. And then when I was telling the story, like crying, like no,
because it says here that they can seize.
Only if you're the second player. If you read that, it says like if you are the player if you're the player that didn't get to win that role, you get to roll to seize.
No, it says here the player that deployed first goes first, unless the player that deployed second seizes.
So again, apparently there were 2 versions. The other version, the one that we're playing, was if you are the player that chose to go first, something like that. It basically denying the possibility. If you force your opponent to go first, you cannot roll to seize. Yeah. Again, not his fault at all. Like, he was a fantastic opponent. And even the judges, look, this is a hobby. These guys are working. They were like 300 people, 400 people. Game 6, they were like dead. And we couldn't find it. It's not easy to find. There is like, I think at one of the pages in the instructions as to how to go about the turn, where it says that, it's super hard to find. So no fault of anybody. It was a fantastic game. And even if I had gone first, it was not at all a guaranteed conclusion that I was going to win that game. At all. So I did not feel bad. I left super happy with my army. I had 6 amazing opponents. Risa and Frankie did a terrific job. So regardless of anything else, it was really, really good.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. So I think you came in 14th out of whatever, like 300 something players, which is amazing. So obviously, Thunderfires were a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to get changed anytime soon because they're quite clearly too cheap and too good.
Yeah.
That 3 Thunderfires and 3 Eliminators is kind of like the auto take of Marines right now. So going forward, what are you going to do to your list, if anything?
I think 3 Thunderfire cannons are not needed. I think 2 is enough. And I will take 3 Eliminators, 3 squads of Eliminators.
Okay, yeah, because they're also very good and very cheap.
They are fantastic.
Like too cheap.
And with Imperial Fists, you get extra shots. So if you roll a 6 to hit, you get extra shots. And then your Warlord, there's a Warlord trait that gives you an extra D3 command points for Imperial Fist. So it's literally the perfect combo for Custodes. I get more command points, I get indirect fire, and I get to pick characters.
Yeah.
And if you make your Warlord Phobos Armor Guy, you can choose the Warlord trait if you need it because of the matchup to redeploy 3 squads of Phobos units. So you can deploy your Eliminators out of line of sight, kind of like Ultramarines, but for 3 command points. And then redeploy them when you see the characters where they are laid. And if an Eliminator can see you, that's a dead character. It doesn't matter if you're Custodes or what. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking. I wish I could run pure Custodes. It's just not an option. If LVO was tomorrow, that's the list that I would run. Very similar to what I'm running right now, but instead of 3 Thunderfire cannons, 2 and 3 squads of Eliminators.
So do you think that Marines then, and in whatever combinations, is the best soup partner for a Custodes army then?
I think so. We'll see once Sisters comes out. I would much rather use Sisters than Marines.
Why is that?
Just for the lore.
Okay.
I hate running what everybody's running. So if everybody thinks Marines are great, I'd rather stay away from that. But right now, Marines are just incredible. They are really good.
Yeah. So that's a common question to get asked is, I'm trying to put some soup in with my Custodes, so like what to use. And I think, you've shown that, you can do worse than with Marines, Eliminators, Thunderfires, like that sort of thing.
Yeah. The one word of caution would be don't fall in the trap of you need command points to make the most out of the Thunderfire cannons.
Yeah.
Do not go the cheap way and get scouts. Because if you do that, you are giving up your main strength, which is denying kills to your opponent. So don't do that.
Yeah. No, that's true. And, as a Custodes player, I love when people have scouts.
Yeah.
or they put their Invictors like right in my face.
Yes.
Like that is literally just like giving me a big advantage. Because I'm not scared of any of those things, but they're things that I can wrap and it's I love it when that happens. But the redeploy thing like Ultramarines, that's pretty strong. But yeah. I think it feels like the weakness right now that we have in the current meta is like, characters and indirect fire, stuff like that. It's not like one of our weaknesses is traditionally like psychic stuff. There's not a lot of that anymore. That kind of Gym Vessel Chaos List has kind of disappeared. And Eldar Shenanigans is not as nasty as it used to be without Shining Spears and Dark Reapers and stuff. So I think, we don't need to soup in Sisters of Silence for denies. That doesn't give us anything, I don't think, in this current environment.
Yeah.
But it's cool to have that option that you could kind of throw those things. You have all of the Imperium basically to choose from, so that's pretty sweet. Although you might, depending on what comes out now for Black Templars, maybe you put those guys in if you want Psychic.
Yeah, Bayo, I made top 8. I was running soup again. I was running a small battalion of mech guys, the Graya, that deny psychic powers on a 4+ because Eldar were a lot more powerful. So you need to make sure that you prevented that Jinx or that Doom from going off. Yeah. So that was very good.
Yeah, that's what I ran at Adepticon and also for ETC style, where I want like troops to hold stuff and to go onto objectives. And make her nice for that. And actually now you could throw a few of those Scorpius tanks in. They're pretty good for the cost too,
Yes.
for a bit of indirect fire. So that's a nice soup option too if you have AdMech. Yeah.
The other thing that I would say is that be wary of using food Custodes in an RTT because they are very reliant in terrain. You need to have places to hide and magic boxes. At least in my local meta, that is not always a guarantee.
Yeah.
More than half of our tables they have no terrain. So this list does not work if your opponent can see you and shoot you, because then you're not denying anything. You're just giving him 52-point models to grab, and he can kill that with freaking bolters now because minus is ridiculous. Everything puts you in a 4+.
Yeah, feeling it. I mean, so I have some comments that people think my tables are too heavy. Well, these are the kind of tables we play with around here, and really, if I wanted to put on stream a game where it ends after the first turn because there's no terrain, there's not much point in streaming that.
Yeah.
And so, and I would hope that the general trend for people is to try and gradually improve terrain quality over time.
It goes into the general theme, and you hear Nick, Matt, everybody say the same thing. You tailor your list to the tournament. If you know your terrain is not going to be good, and you should know when that's going to be the case. If you go to a GT, for the most part, terrain is going to be good. If you go to a small local tournament, you take the risk that terrain is not going to be great. This list does just not function if your opponent can see you.
Yeah. I mean, I got tabled in 3 turns by that Necron army. I couldn't get enough places to hide, right? And it just freaking shooting me off the table, and I couldn't move fast enough, and that's it.
Yeah.
So there's not much you can do. You can be as tricksy as you want, but at the end
exactly.
of the day,
there's so much you can do.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Anything else you want to say about SoCal or your list and how it performed?
It was good. It performed really well. But it's one of those lists that you cannot play on a regular basis. Like if I was Nick playing tournaments every weekend, I couldn't do this because it's exhausting. By the end of it, I can't do this. I need a break. You have to be very careful. So like I have a tournament this weekend. I'm probably running 3 Caladius, 3 Palas, and like 6 bikes. I know the range is not going to be good. And that list is surprisingly good. I know there are not going to be 3 executioners. So okay, well, it can handle the people that I know I'm going to be facing. So you just tailor your list to the tournament you're going to.
Yeah. No, that's definitely good advice. I think like we actually, I mean, we're not like the best codex in the game. If you take us and the Forge World stuff, we actually have a lot of tools.
Yeah.
We lost our big kind of anti-T8 tool, unfortunately. I'm trying to make the Blazes work, but they're probably
I love them.
great.
I don't know.
I think
I know you're trying them. I think in the right list, they are pretty good because you're almost guaranteed to get both shots through.
Yeah.
You're your hit and choose rolling once, you win on 3s, rerolling everything against vehicles.
Yeah, I think my problem is I keep forgetting that I reroll everything.
Yeah, but so if you have 1, I don't think it's enough, and it's 3 damage.
Yeah.
But if you have 3 of them supported by Palace tanks, the other thing that I'm trying, I'm not saying they're good. 1 second. Is this guys, the Palace? The Agamatus. I think there might be some play with the last cannon option. I don't know yet. I need to try
20 points, man.
It is tough, but at the same time, if you're my opponent, from that point on, everything on my list can take down your tanks. What do you shoot at? And you can deep strike them too. I don't trust on keeping them stationary to get the 2+. I think you need to move them and just deal with it. 3+, rolling ones. But if you have 5 of those or 4 of those, so okay, now you have 16 last cannon shots, 3 Arachnos cannons, 3 Palas, Trajan, and a guy on bike, a captain on bike. It's not a joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it is a theory. I haven't tested, so I could be completely wrong. It could be utter trash. I don't know yet.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, most people, including myself, pretty much written them off due to points cost.
Yeah.
But the way the meta has changed, like you got to look at all these options, right? Like initially the Blaze was like, oh, the original Caladius is so much better, right? But now with that strength 7 and now there's so much T8 out there, like you got to think about it. And the Telemon of course got destroyed. Rest in peace.
I have two. I don't know what to do with them.
There's a guy in the chat running 3 melee Telemons.
I mean,
and having
poor
fun.
soul. Hopefully he's doing well. I just don't see it.
That's like 800 points of melee.
The way I see our list going, something that I'm liking a lot, it's a unit of guard with lances, wounded on choose. Like if you go into Marines, you're wounding them on choose with the command point stratagem, with the 1 command stratagem, piercing strike I think it's called. That unit is growing in me to the point where I'm thinking maybe I drop the Terminators. Knights are nowhere to be seen, which is the main reason
for me. There's a lot of Knights.
Okay, fair enough.
But no, I get what you're saying. Like I'm thinking my foot list right now, which I took the Venetari out of obviously and put bikes in, and then I'm thinking of instead of Alaris, maybe putting in a big unit of Guardians, right? Like 7 to 9 Guardians, just for that stratagem, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that, and that's the only reason I have 9 Guardians.
I think it can work. I also think that the Vexilla is losing its power, the one with the -1 to hit, just because of Marines rolling everything.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of the 1+1 attack, which makes that unit super scary, but it's so expensive.
I know. So I was talking about this last week. I was like, the Vexilla is coming to the end of its day if everyone starts to get full rerolls. Like I've been feeling it against Marines. It literally like does nothing. And so, but we still need it for Homer. So then it's like, then you got to run the +1 attack, and it's so expensive though.
It hurts. I don't know. I feel like Custodes are like at the cusp of being a top tier codex. Like if we get a nice Psychic Awakening update, we need like 2 stratagems, 2 warlord traits, and 1 relic, and we're good to go.
What do you want to see? What's your dream in that book?
My dream is a warlord trait or a relic that allows me to reroll freaking damage. D3 damage it's just not right.
I thought they would throw us a bone and make just all the D3s in the Codex 2 damage. That would make us that much better.
There's no way. But at least let me reroll it. Give me a stratagem, something to reroll that, because it's just so frustrating.
It's the worst roll in the game.
And we need to do something about intercessors having more attacks than freaking Custodes. That is just ridiculous. But yeah, I think rerolling damages, being able to go twice in close combat. Maybe make it so that it's only when you are within an objective, something. But we need to be able to go twice. We're the only codex, I think, us and Eldar, that cannot attack twice.
Yeah. I would like to see that we don't have to take morale tests. I mean, we're the fucking protectors of the Emperor, and I'm going to run away? Like, that's crazy. To me, that makes no sense.
People forget though, you get the Vexilla has an advantage for the morale.
Yeah, you can reroll.
Yeah, which is
it's not often that you have to take a morale test because you're running, smaller units, but it's annoying that you even have to think about that at any time.
Butcher cannons. I was playing my first opponent with a Purge, and I didn't know. I thought Butcher cannons was -1 to your leadership, so he kept asking me, "You have to do leadership check." He's like, "No, I'm good. I have leadership 8." Which is so sad.
And why are we leadership 8?
Yeah. That it makes no sense. And then he showed me the rules. Like, I guess I don't know how to do math. Yes, I do have to take leadership. And he died, by the way. My unit died to freaking leadership.
It's like a guardsman sergeant is leadership 8.
Yeah. So I think if we get those 2 things and maybe advance and charge with 1 unit for a command point or 2 command points, then all of a sudden the army has a lot of bite, because you can deploy the bikes. They move 14, they advance 6, so that's 20 inches, and now they can charge. It's like, okay, now we have a way of projecting our damage. And I know that right now that sounds super good. We say, well, yeah, but we have to be able to compete against Marines.
Yeah.
So something like that, and that's all we need.
Yeah. I mean, I fantasize in a crazy world of having, our army-wide 4-up goes to 3-up in Vuln.
No. I mean, that would be amazing. If I'm fantasizing and going nuts, give me a Vexilla bike, and then I'm done. That will be all I need. Just give me a bike on my Vexilla, I don't need anything else.
No weapon. He just goes around whacking people with the
Yeah.
bike. Yeah, that's fine.
For
Strength 5
and
AP 0.
the image of the guy on the bike holding the standard is like, for the Emperor! And then everybody charging behind him. That would be fantastic.
That would be so awesome. And I mean, like, if Trajan, with his crazy Acts of Legend, Strength 10, could do better than D3, that would be nice.
I don't know who did it at D3, who thought that was good. It's just like, come on, guys. D3. It's just the fact that a squad of intercessors can take a thunderfire cannon. A thunderfire hammer. A thunder hammer.
Yeah.
With damage 3. And they have more attacks than we do for less points than a squad of 3 of our guys. It's like, this is insane, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, we are supposed to be the best fighters the Imperium has to offer. And right now, the basic Marine guys are better than we are.
Yeah. They're also almost as large as us, model-wise, which is annoying.
I was thinking the other day, will they change our models to make them bigger? And then I thought about 30K. There's no way 30K is going to get up to the size of the Primaris. So I feel a lot better that I don't have to buy a new army.
Yeah, no, I don't think they would ever do that. But it is kind of annoying that like we used to tower over the old Marines and now like everybody's so big. Although the aquilon base sizes do make them look more threatening, if not super annoying.
I love when my opponent is trying to place the models in a way that I cannot wrap. And I'm like, don't worry, I have my Tanglefoot and my Tremor Shells. I don't need to wrap you. Because with those bases, it's so hard. If there are 2 models, it's really easy to wrap. But if they have 4, it is so hard to get through that oftentimes you cannot wrap with the aquilon. I find it a lot easier to wrap with my bikes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because the oval bases are kind of actually a little bit obnoxious for things like that. Yeah. All right, cool. There's our wish listing. Hope somebody from GW is listening.
Yes. I doubt it, but I hope so.
Okay, I'm going to ask you some questions that the guys in the Custodes Collective were asking. So,
sure.
First question is, what are your tactics pre-game for each unit? Is it based on what your opponent's playing or based really on what you feel like your units can do?
So my list is denial, right? So I usually don't care about what my opponent is running. That's the beauty of the list. It's like, I don't care what you're running. I just need to hide and do my thing. So usually the purpose of the Guardians is to give me King of the Hill and Engineers. The Terminators is to be the bullies. And the bikes it's like multi-purpose. Either they are going to be harassing the opponent, they're going to give me the kill that I need, they might deploy on the table and try to wrap somebody up. So they are like the freebie that you get. Then obviously whatever your opponent is running, you have to be careful about. You have to be mindful. But for the most part, those are the purposes. I usually deep strike the Terminators, the bikes, and then a unit of 3 guards. The reason for that is because the list is very slow. The moment turn 3 hits, you don't move that much. Yeah. And having that unit of 3 guards, being able to drop somewhere else, it guarantees you line breaker if you need to get old school. Or it keeps your opponent on their toes, having to screen you out, not just frontally from the Vexilla's point of view, but also for those 3 guys, because they know I am not going to put 450 points worth of models in the back, hoping for a 9-inch charge. But I'm more than happy to do that with 150 points worth of models.
Yeah. I think that's a nice thing to do with that. Because that first unit is like your engineer. The second unit maybe kind of goes to the middle. Then that second unit, that third unit does nothing, right? So it's like, that's nice. Just keep them honest. Keep them screening at the back. And it's not hard to fit those 3 guys in.
Exactly.
Into a rune in the back and pick off some characters or even just stay there, as you say.
And even if I don't have the Tremor Shells, if I get them in combat, I have one chance in 3, if I Tanglefoot you in your movement base, to stay in combat with you. And that is, if I have a reroll, and I have enough command points usually to do that, that is pretty good. That's a pretty good odds that you're going to stay in combat.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think most people, first of all, they forget 2 things about Tanglefoot. Number 1 is that you don't need line of sight to use it.
Yep.
And number 2 is that you can use it in the movement phase. I know a lot of people use it to stop charges, but you can use it in the movement phase, but you have to do it at the beginning of the phase. And that can stop a fallback. As you say, like you have to roll like like a 5 or something, right?
If you roll a 5,
depends on the movement, but
right. Obviously, depends on the movement, but usually you're dealing with movement 6.
Yeah.
So if you roll a 5, they cannot get more than 1 inch away from you, so they cannot leave.
Yeah, and that's key. Like that can be key, right? That's like your lock. So
yeah.
And I've forgotten to use that on a number of occasions as well. So it's about using that Tanglefoot. It's super sweet. Unless you're playing Tau and everything flies, but
Tau are a problem. Tau's
a problem.
yeah. I think more than anything else because they have so much indirect fire with AP -2 against things that fly. They have like the +1 to hit. It's just they are a really rough army.
Even if you get in there, you're killing drones.
Exactly. It's Caladius were in my heart. The Caladius was the right tool to kill Tau, and I love killing Tau. That's the army that I hate the most.
I hate Tau the most as well.
Yeah, it's just
who doesn't hate Tau? Other than Tau players.
Is that kid that used to be bullied in school and now has all grown up? Super smart. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna buy a Tau army, and I'm gonna pay you guys pay for the abuses I had when I was a kid. I'm not gonna let you play. I'm gonna play a game, but I'm the only one playing. You just take it. So,
yeah. That would definitely explain a lot of Tau posting online. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if they disappeared. Like it's just so annoying. Like the drones. I get it. Without the drones, they are not an army. But that interaction with the army is so frustrating, not fun, and I cannot believe Tau players have fun playing that army. I just don't believe anybody can enjoy it.
I sold my Tau army because I didn't enjoy playing it. Nobody wanted to play against it, and I didn't want to play it, so I sold it.
Look, Marines are amazing, but they are hard to play. They're really good lists, and they are not that bad to play against. Like I can enjoy myself playing against Marines. Tau is just like I don't want to.
Yeah, and it's like, why did you just turn my 2d6 damage into 1 mortal wound? Like,
yeah.
Like, and then you survived it with a feel no pain. Like, why?
It's just so frustrating.
Why can you block me in combat with a drone? I'm sorry. Anyway, okay. Second question. So somebody asked you why you take the spears on the infantry. Well, there's probably a number of reasons for that, but so that's kind of the first part of that question. And I think the answer is pretty obvious. You don't have to spend. They're not attacking anything, so why pay points for better weapons? And if you need to, you can use +1 wound. So, there's no reason to take any other weapons on them. The other option, of course, is to take a shield and a dagger to make them harder to kill. But again, if you're hiding, probably don't need to spend the points there.
And that was the thought process. What am I afraid of? I'm afraid of thunderfire cannons. Okay, thunderfire cannons for the most part are going to be Iron Hands or White Scars, or maybe Raven Guard. So they are -2 to my AP. So -2 AP. It's about 2+ safe. I'm in cover. It's 3+. It's not getting me any benefits. That was the reason for not getting the shield. I did not think prior to the tournament of running the Forge Wall guys. After having played now, I will probably run one of those guys. One unit of 3 Forge Wall Lances. The one that are like a Melta.
With the Melta Lances?
Yes. Yeah, the one deep striking. Because that
deep strike one.
Yes, because that makes the opponent scared. They say, well, he's rolling. Like, these are Meltas. This can come down, and he can kill a Thunderfire cannon on the deep strike. So that's the only thing I would consider, because it's the same amount of points. That unit is coming down, and it's not going to kill top units. It's going to kill the Thunderfire cannon on the back, a Basilisk on the back, and for that, the Melta is really helpful.
Yeah. Although you'll be out of Melta range.
Yes, but you still do the 6 damage. You just don't get to reroll it, I believe.
No.
I thought that's how it worked.
No, the Melta lets you roll 2 dice and pick the highest.
Right. But what I'm saying is, you still get a D6. If you get through, you still get a D6 damage.
D6,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Versus I'm dropping with a freaking bolter.
Yeah, no, for sure. Although sometimes with the -1, you do 2 damage with bolter shot. Like, it can do a lot of damage.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. I love my guards, but I think one unit with the special lance, with the Melta lance, might not be a bad idea to scare your opponent and forcing them into bubble wrapping for longer with the fear that you come down and you might kill a tank. Even if you're not rerolling, you might kill a tank, yes, because on average you should do 3 damage.
Yeah. So I guess at SoCal you didn't see, sorry to go back to SoCal, you didn't see many infiltrators Because I find infiltrators super annoying because usually they're hidden. They are just far enough away that you can't really abuse them with wrapping. They stop your Vexilla. It's hard to deep strike against them if they have a couple units of infiltrators. They can use it to kind of determine where you can and can't go. I find infiltrators super annoying, and like it really changes the way that you have to play.
Yes.
Did you encounter a lot of infiltrators?
Just 2 units in my 5th game against White Scars, and my opponent had 2. But in my mind, it wasn't an issue. It's like, I'm not gonna go to you. Sure, you can have 30 of them. I am not going to I'm not gonna deep strike via my Vexilla to be aggressive. And if you want to block me, you're really gonna have to force those guys to come to me, and that's fine because I want you to come to me with weak stuff. So I think in the right list, they are very powerful, but people misuse them a lot. Like if the White Scar guy had 2 of them, it's like, you are insanely good in close combat. You have 4 Smash Captains. What are you afraid of deep striking next to you?
Yeah.
And they are so expensive. They are really good, but they pay a pretty penny for them.
Yeah.
So.
George Gorgievsky in the chat asking, what do you think about the jet bikes with the salvo launchers?
I like them a lot. I like them a lot because I think it's the same amount of points. Right? No, the salvo launchers, which ones are those?
They're just the normal bikers, but they take the it's like I can't remember the stats. They're like anti-vehicle, but again, heavy.
Oh no. Yeah, no. If it's sorry, I thought you were talking about the Alastrum ones. It's basically the Agamatos. It's the same points as a regular bike, but it's strength 6, AP minus 2, 1 damage. Those I'm liking them as well. Yeah, I'm looking at the codex.
Just the normal bikers with the other option, the other weapon option. Yeah.
I don't think so. The reason for that is because of the 24-inch radius or range. Maybe, I don't know. And I think it was super expensive. I haven't looked at it in a while, but it just seemed very expensive for 24 inches. The Agamatos have 36, I believe it was.
Yeah.
So maybe. I think we're at a point where we need to test things that we thought were not good. With the new meta, it's time to spend, I'm not saying a month, but spend some time thinking about stuff that we wrote off last year. And
for sure. I mean, I was fairly happy playing what I called my normal list quite some time until Marines. Now I'm like, okay, now I need version 2A, 2B, 2C. Like, you got to start testing stuff. I even almost brought the Telemon back for a test, but I didn't.
Today, I was trying to write this list for this weekend, and I thought maybe I bring 3 Caladius and 2 Telemons. I know they are not the greatest, and then I look at the stats again and the range. Is like, no way. No freaking way. 24 inches is just so bad on the...
Oh, man. Okay, next question. Your small unit sizes, did you struggle to wrap much? Well, I think we already answered that. You weren't really trying to wrap. But yes, obviously you would struggle to wrap with only 3 guys as a minimum. But generally, those are not the guys you're using to wrap, even if you're not playing your style.
Exactly. And even, let's say that you cannot wrap and you want those guys to stay in combat, Tanglefoot. Guys, that's like a 45% chance, I think, with the reroll. And then with the Thunderfire cannons, it's almost automatic because you have movement. You need a 2+ with a reroll.
You just have to remember to shoot them first in your turn.
Exactly. Yes, you have. And 2 things you need to remember to declare. You're going to use the thermal shells at the beginning of the shooting phase, and if you're going to shoot twice, you have to say that before you roll any dice to shoot. You cannot shoot and then say, I'm going to shoot again. It has to be at the beginning of when you choose that Thunderfire cannon to shoot.
Yeah. Okay, I think we answered the next question. So I guess in your list at Socal, the next question is, do you plan, how are you going to use your CP? Yeah. You're planning maybe 3 to drop to Homer, and then like 3 a turn for Thunderfires, double shooting, slowing down, burns through CP quickly. But I think we kind of covered that. We were talking like two turns of slowing, maybe 3 at the most. You don't have to do that for 6 turns.
It really depends on the opponent too, right? But I always budget for 3 for the Vexilla, for the deep striking through the Vexilla.
Yeah.
I usually use 2 to deep strike the 1 unit of guard and the bikes. So it's already 5. I count recovery in 2, and then I like to have the ability of rolling 1 or 2 dice for my saves, rolling 1 for charges. So I already have 1 more. It's usually be able to go interrupting close combat. I tend to be really close to the objectives because of the nature of the list. By the way, another nugget, people don't realize you can interrupt twice in a row with Custodes.
Yep.
I did that at Bayo against Don Husan, who freaked out about it. The way that it's written, you can use a 2 command point stratagem to interrupt right after an opponent has fought with a unit at charge. And then the Custodes one allows you to do it after that. So for 3 command points, you can have 2 units interrupting before he can go again.
Yeah, I think I used to play that wrong. Like I would wait for another activation and then interrupt again. But I think quite clearly, if you read it, you could just do it in sequence. Yeah.
And for ITC, I've discussed it with Reese and Frankie, and both of them agree. So if you're an ITC event, the ITC at LVO and Socal, all these tournaments, they have ruled it that way.
And like, I can't remember what I was going to say now. Anyway, most people don't even know about that stratagem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Or even if you're just on an objective and you want to interrupt, just do 1 CP, not 2.
Exactly. There's no reason to spend 2.
Yeah. So most people don't know about that stratagem. It catches them off guard. Okay. So the final question was, what do you think we can do against Marines? And I think we just spent an hour and a bit talking about that.
Denial. Until we get an upgrade, we have to deny, not just us, every codex. We have the benefit that we are so resilient that we do better than most other armies. I think you have to soup. If you want to go for the LBO or go 4-2, 5-1, 6-0, you need to soup, be very patient, and just deny kills to your opponent. Make sure that you hold more and that you're very, very patient.
So let's say Thunderfire cannons go to 200 points tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
What you running instead of them?
Eliminators.
Just
if you can run
eliminators?
3 squads of eliminators, if they are Imperial Fists, you get this, or Imperial Fist or Masters. What is the other one? Crimson Fist, where you get extra shots and 6s. Those are really good when you can redeploy them. And I honestly think we need them. We need to have a way of killing characters from range, so that we are not sacrificing 450 points worth of bikes in killing a freaking smash captain.
Yeah. Painful. Or eating 27 attacks from a chapter master.
It's just like, it sucks that we need to soup, but I think the other way of playing Custodes, but if you do this, you're going for a 4-2, 5-1 kind of list. It's going hyper aggressive with Caladius, grabs, and maybe a hammer unit, whether it's bikes or terminators. And you're just hoping to go first or have a great terrain, because we're so mobile with that list that you can hide, come out, shoot, and really be the first one to hit the opponent. You can do that, and it's a good list, and it does well, but it's a 4-2, 5-1 kind of list.
And what do you think of the new Ares gunship? Some people have been bringing that out.
I think it has play. I think, again, if you're running the Palace Caladius, it brings more anti-tank, and we need a lot of it because it's not great, the one that we have. But we have very fast and resilient platforms to deliver it. So I think it has play. I do like the bomb rule that it has.
Yeah. It's
surprisingly good against hordes. I've been meaning to test it, but I don't like to use models that I don't have. I like to proxy. And it's $500, so I don't know when I'm going to test it.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. George is saying, both the stratagems say after the enemy has fought. So technically, the second time you use the second stratagem, it is still after the enemy has fought. Doesn't
yes, but I thought the one in the rulebook, it has been almost a year since this happened. Based on the way the frontline game is interpreted, it had to be immediately after an opponent has charged. I fought with that unit, but I could be wrong. I'm checking it right now on the phone.
What's interesting, in AOS, they basically said that immediately after and after mean the same thing, but they haven't said that for 40k. So yeah, I think your interpretation of the word after can be pretty liberal.
I'm reading from the book. It says this stratagem is used right after an enemy unit has charged and has fought. And the way the frontline gaming guys interpret this, it has to be immediately after it has fought. So they wait to do it, at least in the ITC, if you're going to one of the big events, is the 2 CP first, then the 1 CP.
Yeah, so just to clarify, the book stratagem, the 2 CP one is immediately.
Yeah.
But our stratagem just says after.
Yeah.
And After is after. It could be an hour from now if nothing else
Exactly.
happens.
And again, another TO could rule it differently, but this is how they've been playing on the ITC. So to be safe, and I'm sure there's an argument to be said that both of them don't require to do it immediately after, but that would be suggested for you
It's
guys.
not going to happen that often, but it could happen. Yeah. Because, of course, it has to be 2 separate units because we can't fight again. Cool. Okay. So I have no more questions. I think the chat is fairly quiet. So I'm going to say thank you, Carlos, for coming on and sharing with us your wisdom and your tactics and going through SoCal with us is super enlightening. And I hope everybody learned something and definitely enjoyed that.
No, thank you so much for having me. I love your content. I'm glad that we have a Custodes player that puts good quality battle reps. So I usually hate doing these kind of things. Like I don't even like playing on stream. But it's like it's not fair that you're always the one putting content out there for free for everybody to enjoy and watch. And I've been watching your channel for like I guess 8 to 12 months. It's okay. Because you ask, I'll do it.
Well, I appreciate everybody who comes on the cast or comes and plays on stream because without somebody to do it with, I wouldn't be doing it either. So thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you guys. I'm sure we'll chat on Discord and good luck playing. We have a good codex, we have a good army, and with a few tweaks we can compete, which is more than Dark Angels and Grey Knights can say.
Yeah, for sure. Who knows? Grey Knights are going to get a new book and it's going to be stupid.
Maybe. I would love to because I have like 3,000 points worth of Grey Knights.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Carlos. Thanks very much, everybody, for watching on Twitch. And please consider subscribing and supporting the channel. And next week, my work schedule is a little bit busy, and I have to go to Toronto, so I'm not going to be streaming a game next week. But we do have a cast on Tuesday, I think, where we're going to talk with Scary, who has been one of the guys writing the new ETC missions for next year. And that will obviously have relevance for people playing at the CanHammer Team Tournament. So join us next week for that. I'll put up the schedule. I'll try and sneak a game in on Sunday night, maybe, if my wife will allow me. But then the week after that, I'm going to try and get 2, maybe 3 games in as well. And so I'll make up for it next time. So thanks very much for watching. Thank you very much for joining me, Carlos.
Thank you, and thank you everyone that was watching.
And everybody have a good night.